All right, let's move on to our next email today. And our next email today comes to us from Omar94, who writes, I read up a lot on films and see that there are generally 1 to 4 production companies all making one film. Why is that? Why do big studios like Warner Brothers, Universal, etc. use production companies for making their films? Don't they have studio lots where they can just do it all themselves? I also wondered that. Robert, we do see a lot these days of movies we go into and we see, first of all, the Warner Brothers logo, then the Bad Robot logo, and then the New Line logo, and then the Lakeshore logo, blah, blah, blah. What's with that? Why do we often see these movies with so many production companies?
Well, there's a number of answers to that question, but basically how movies are made now. Let's say my own company, for instance. I made a low-budget film with Warner Brothers. That movie was brought to me by another company called Fever Dreams. So Fever Dreams is part of it. They brought it to me. My company, Ludovico Technique, then took it to Warner Brothers. So now there's Fever Dreams, there's my company, Ludovico Technique, and Warner Brothers says, oh, we want to make this movie, and it's going to now be Warner Premiere because it'll be released by Warner Brothers, right. And then we want Joel Silver's Dark Castle Entertainment to also produce. So Joel Silver came on board
to get him involved
to the Hills Run Red to get him involved. They get his production company involved. He gets a little slice of that money, the budget. So they've got Joel Silver assures the movie's going to get made properly. Warner Archive or Warner Premiere is going to be able to distribute it. So you've got distribution in place. So that's what Joel Silver guarantees the movie will get made. Warner Brothers gives you your distribution, which is guaranteed. And then the 2 little upstarts, Fever Dreams and Ludovico Technique, were the people that brought the project in. So both, you've got now 4 entities for this one little horror movie. That's kind of what's happening with these films now. There's people that set up co-financing deals. There's people that bring in talent. Like if Bad Robot internally generates something, like that's why they have their names on the Mission Impossible franchise and the Star Trek franchise. So they're tied to those franchises. Then Paramount's going to distribute those movies, and that's how you get. If a star comes on board, like a big actor, they have a Plan B is Brad Pitt's production company. Appian Way is Leonardo DiCaprio's company. So if they're involved, then they bring along their companies with them. If there's other co-productions or money that's coming in from outside companies, say European money, you see a lot of that in front of Paramount films like Hua or whatever,
right?
And Alibaba, or there's other foreign finance companies, Abu Dhabi. There's Imagine, I think, is the Abu Dhabi. So there's all kinds. Movies now are co-financed and produced by many different companies, sometimes worldwide.
Some people might be asking, well, wait a minute, you know, Disney's so rich, Warner Brothers so rich, why do they need co-financing? Because it mitigates your financial exposure.
Yes.
It's very wise. On top of all the reasons you just gave as well, a couple other things to keep in mind. Number one, a lot of these big studios have sub-companies that they own. So just as an example, you'll have, you'll go into Incredibles 2, Disney Studios, Pixar Studios, Buena Vista Distributing, but all Disney companies. So there's that. Another reason you'll sometimes see some of these, on top of all the great reasons that Robert listed, is the fact that oftentimes you'll have movies where there are complicated rights issues, where then you have to have multiple studios involved because they each own a certain segment of certain rights to a property. Friday the 13th is a great example of that right now. That's going through rights hell at the moment. So these companies will then say, okay, well, then we have to do this jointly. Let's do it jointly and make it happen, sort of thing. So there can be many different reasons. Most of the great ones Robert listed, a couple of other little ones. But, yep, that's why you see quite often. It's not just sometimes now. Most of the time you'll see many production companies attached, and those are just some of the reasons. Good question, man. Thanks for asking the question, Omar.